On today's episode of The Happy House, I'm going to show you how to make this delicious lamb roast with this incredible mint sauce. Plus, I'm going to share with you one of my favorite creations. You guys, it's almost like a Twinkie and an eclair and a creme brulee collided. It's a coconut cake with a vanilla bean custard, and I'm going to show you my favorite tips and tricks to make it easy. And last, we'll be transforming these warped garden boxes into something that will last for decades. All right now on The Happy House. Well, April was a fun month for food and projects. We celebrated Passover this year, and I came up with a simple way to make a delicious lamb roast. I bought this lamb fresh from the butcher shop, placed it in my slow cooker with a little bit of salt. I let it cook for 3 hours on high heat. In the meantime, I made a baste for my roast. You're going to start with 1 heaping teaspoon of dried rosemary. Then add about a half teaspoon of minced garlic. Next, add about a 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt and 2 tablespoons of virgin olive oil. Add a half teaspoon of fresh lemon zest, and then add about 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice. Blend it all together for about 60 seconds or until it's nice and creamy. About an hour into your roasting time, pour the marinade all over the roast, and with a basting brush, you're going to baste the entire roast until it's completely coated. Now we're going to make a mint sauce for the roast. Start out with a half cup of fresh mint leaves. I like to actually use the mint leaves that I harvest from my own garden and store in my freezer. These taste amazing. Then you're going to add a half teaspoon of honey, and then a teaspoon of sea salt. Then add 1 tablespoon of hot water, 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, and about 4 tablespoons of olive oil. Blend it all together and store it in the fridge until ready to serve. The sweet minty tanginess goes perfect with the salted lamb.
That sauce smells like chocolate.
Does it? Mm-hmm. Well, that's because it's the mint chocolate leaves. The chocolate mint leaf plant. So that's funny that you said that. You are really good at picking up on that. Okay. Also, I decided to make my first ever bunny cake. I remember when I was a kid, my mom and other moms always making these bunny cakes. And when I saw the bunny head cake pan at the store, well, I knew I had to get it. I created a homemade vanilla cake with a vanilla bean custard filling. You guys, this cake was so delicious. I'm not a big fan of typical cake, you know, with buttercream frosting. It's never really been my thing, but I love a good cake with layers of cream and fruit. But this coconut vanilla bean custard cake was phenomenal, and it was so much fun to make. I can't wait to share it with you. Begin with 2 cups of flour. Next, add 1½ cups of granulated sugar. Then, 3 teaspoons of baking powder. Next, add 1 cup of sea salt. Then you're going to mix the dry ingredients all together. And then you're going to add 1 cup of milk, a ½ cup of canola oil, and to make it extra soft, a ½ cup of Greek yogurt. Then add 2 teaspoons of Mexican vanilla. And last but not least, 4 egg whites. Blend it on high speed until your batter becomes velvety and smooth. Remember, you don't want any lumps. Pour your batter into the cake pan. Now I've sprayed mine with cooking oil just to be safe. And place it in the oven at 375 degrees for about 35 to 40 minutes. Now it's time to make the vanilla custard. We're going to start with 1 cup of milk and then 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. Then add 4 egg yolks, the ones that you separated from the egg whites. Next, add a half cup of white granulated sugar. Then add 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. Next, add a teaspoon of vanilla bean paste. I was almost out, so I really had to scrape the bottom of the bottle. Then add about 2 teaspoons of pure Mexican vanilla. Blend the ingredients all together. Here's the part where I'm going to show you a shortcut that I always do. Pour the mixture in a medium-sized saucepan. Turn your heat on medium-high and continue to whisk until the mixture comes to a boil. Now typically with custard you use a double boiler because you don't want to burn the bottom of the pan, and you also strain the custard so that you don't have the lumps in it, so it's this nice silky texture. But I'm telling you, my shortcut works every time, and most people don't even know the difference. Once the mixture comes to a boil, turn off the heat and remove the pan from the burner. Now because the pan is still really hot, you're going to want to continue whisking the custard until the bubbles stop. And to get that silky smooth texture, you're going to put the mixture back into the KitchenAid and continue mixing. When the mixture has cooled down and it's nice and silky, place it in a glass bowl, cover it with plastic, and put it in the fridge. Now I did all of these steps the night before, so the next morning I was ready to assemble my cake. Loosen the sides with a butter knife, flip it over on a platter, and lift the mold. Here's my next little trick for slicing a perfectly even cake. Take a long piece of dental floss, place it at the edge of the cake in the center, and pull. This ensures a nice even cut while avoiding your cake collapsing. And now that our cake is sliced in half, we are ready to fill it. Remove the top half and get your nice cold custard out of the fridge. You need to at least let it chill for 4 hours. Scoop it into sections all over the bottom layer of the cake. If you love creme brulee, you're really going to love this custard. Once the custard is spread evenly, you're going to place the top layer back on the cake. You can take a spatula around the side of the cake to smooth away any spilled custard. And now it's time to make the frosting. You're going to start with 1 cup of powdered sugar and about 1.5 to 2 cups of heavy whipping cream. Next, add 1 teaspoon of almond extract. And now it's time to whip it all together. Start out on a low speed and gradually increase it as the powdered sugar blends in with the cream. As soon as stiff peaks begin to form, add in about 2 tablespoons of salted butter, blend well, and you are good to go. Spread the frosting onto the cake all around the top and the sides. Remember, you probably won't need all of the frosting. You can set aside what's left over and freeze it, or use it later for pancakes. Once you've got full coverage on the top and the sides, take a spatula and smooth out all the rough parts. Next, sprinkle about 1 to 2 cups of shredded coconut. Be sure to get it on all sides of the cake. You don't want to have a bald bunny. And now it's time to give the bunny a face. I'm just following the basic design on the back of the cake pan. I'm using candy eyes, a jelly bean for the nose, and gel frosting for the lines. I got into my kids' Easter baskets and pulled out 2 white jelly beans for teeth. We're going to give him some pink gums and then a little bit of shine on his cute little bunny nose. As I scan the cake, something seems to be missing. I quickly figure out what it is. This bunny needs a bow tie. He's now ready to go into the fridge for about 2 to 4 hours because this kind of cake tastes best when it's chilled. After we enjoy our Easter dinner, it's time to dig in to the cake. It's creamy, coconutty, filled with vanilla flavor, It's almost like a Twinkie collided with a creme brulee. We've been trying to redo our garden beds for the past few years, and every year we put it off. And finally, this was the year we were going to get it done. We're getting new garden beds, yay! Oh goodness, you can see right here, Manuel has already started on this one, and hopefully by the end of the weekend we'll have all of these finished. We were trying to do things the cheap way initially when we first built this home, and we built our garden beds out of wood. They're totally warped. So we used to paint them and make them all pretty, and we kind of gave up on that a few years ago. We do have a neighbor cat that likes to use them as a litter box, so I don't know how we're gonna get around that, but for the most part, I'm really optimistic about gardening this year. The dirt was delivered and Manuel got to work. He used a company for the pre-cut vinyl. They came out ahead of time and measured everything, and then it all came delivered to our house ready to assemble. Yay, progress! Progress. I love that Manuel planted everything, but some of the plants are too close together, so I give them some space. We went to J&J Nursery the day before, and we planted 2 types of strawberries, cauliflower, peas, green beans, and lettuce, basil, cilantro, dill, and we replanted our chives and our lemon balm. We planted 6 different kinds of tomatoes, kale, carrots, celery, and rhubarb, and blueberries. I just need to find a better space for them, zucchini, and cucumbers. Looks like our next project needs to be weeding. But one thing's for sure, I'm so glad to be able to say goodbye to this sad garden. Manuel did a great job with the beds. Everything's planted and ready to go. These beds are going to last, so I can't wait for harvest season. Thanks for cooking and baking with me today, you guys. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time in this happy house.